All right. Welcome to my first ever Big Brother chat on my Twitch channel. This is something I'm going to be doing for all of BB23. Well, as much as I can, at least. And yeah, I'm excited to do it. And Mutable Mercury, hello. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Uh, I'm going to just wait like a minute or so before I really get going. Like before I start talking about the season itself. But just real quick, first, I just want to say a little bit about my Big Brother history. I started watching in Big Brother 18, and oh, by the way, is my sound okay? Like, do I sound all right? I just like if there's any audio issues, let me know now before I start talking about too much and it all just gets lost. I sound good. All right, thank you. Excuse me. But yeah, I started watching in BB18, and like for a long time, my brother watched the show, and I was just like, I'm never gonna get into it. But I slowly got sucked in. I'm like, okay, I get it now. I get what the appeal is. I get that there's a strategic element, and I like strategy things. And I have always been a fan of the idea of Big Brother, but I haven't always been a fan of Big Brother. Like, to be honest, I have had my problems with every season I've watched. Yeah. So that's been tough to deal with, but I always go back. Like, oh, I believe the next one will be good. LOL, it's understandable. Yep. And I always go back, and I'm always just like, oh yeah, there were more issues than I would have liked there to be. But BB22, Mutable Mercury, thank you for the follow. BB22 was something different. Last season, Big Brother All Stars was excruciating for me. Like, it was hard to get through. And I'm going to shoot you straight. I did not actually watch the end of the season on TV. Like, I kept track of what was going on in the house for the last few weeks. Like, the triple eviction episode was the last full episode I watched. But then I fast forwarded through the finale just to get to the part where Davon won America's favorite, because she was one of my favorites. Which I would say she was my second favorite. Same here. I think I stopped after Kaser got evicted and then watched the finale live. I don't blame you. I really don't. Sorry, I got my phone open in front of me to because I put some notes down for what I wanted to talk about and I hit the wrong button. And yeah, just to start off, I'm gonna like analyze the the All Stars. I'm just gonna go in order that they were evicted. Just give my thoughts on them, work my way through. And as we go along, the comments may probably get more negative, more or less. All right, so let's start with the first one evicted, Keisha. I did not watch her first season. I had not heard of her before. Some I had heard of before, like that were on seasons that I hadn't seen. Keisha, I had not heard of, but I saw her most famous incident, like the clip of it. It makes the rounds repeatedly, especially after last season. Her just flipping off a guy, yelling "F you!" And I'm like, okay, I could see why she came back as an all star because that was pretty iconic. And if that was the Keisha that was here, I would have been like, oh yeah, I like her. And I didn't dislike her. But that's the thing is, she I know everyone was upset that she was evicted, and I understand why, like, if they saw her original season. But with me, it was like, she didn't really do a lot to save herself that first week. Kevin was out there working, talking to people, making whatever connections he could to keep himself alive. So I get why Keisha went first, but I also get why people were disappointed that she went first. That's my point. But I considering how the season went, I wouldn't have minded seeing her stick around because how much worse could she have made it? You know? And we'll talk about Kevin in a little while because I have some thoughts on him too. But let's go to the next person evicted. Yeah, I was disappointed with how she did. I was really looking forward to seeing her play. Yeah, I that's I get that. And after seeing the video of her flipping the guy off, I was kind of disappointed that she wasn't like that. But yeah, the next player that would be Nicole Anthony. Now, I did watch BB21, and I did not like that season much either, but she made it worth watching for me. I loved her. I had the biggest crush on her because, like, I got a thing for nerdy girls. I'm a nerdy guy myself. I used to wear glasses. I actually got LASIK and no longer had to wear glasses during Nicole A's season. But yeah, I'm still a nerd at heart, and I love my nerdy girls, and I had the biggest crush on her, and I was so happy to see her come back for All Stars. But I'm not blind, and I know that she did not live up to expectations. I mean, I feel that she and David got ganged up on by Memphis, and mm, I got to stop myself from going on a tangent about Memphis just yet. But it seemed like he really just nominated them because they were the two most recent contestants, which I thought was a really stupid way to go. Like, he's hanging out with all the other new school contestants, but he's ganging up on them, and he's getting out America's favorite from last season. Like, really? And just doing it, she cracked under the pressure. And to be honest, I don't know if she had fully coped with everything she had gone through on her first season. Like, yeah, she won America's favorite, but it was not an easy ride for her. Like, she went through some heartache. So yeah, I was disappointed with how it went for her, but you know, it got to a point where I was almost relieved to see her go because like she was just not handling the pressure very well. Like she was. This is gonna sound like I'm talking up BB21. I don't mean to be, but she had a better support system in that season, and most of her support system turned out to be terrible people. So let's just take that into consideration and put it against her support system or lack thereof in BB22. Her only real friend was Kevin, and I think he damaged her gameplay more than anything because he made her paranoid. So yeah, uh, I still love Nicole as a person, and honestly, she's still good Nicole for BB All Stars. Wink, wink. But again, more on that later. So next up is Janelle. Now, I had heard of her before, but I had never seen her play. I did see her on The Amazing Race, but she was just kind of eh. Like, she didn't last too long. I think her and Brittany were the fourth team out on Amazing Race. And, I mean, I was watching her, and I quickly came to realize why she was so popular among the fandom. And she won me over. I'm like, oh yeah, I like her. This is someone who represents the kind of Big Brother strategy that I was initially drawn to the show by. And oh yes, you'll understand even more if you watch BB6 and the first All Stars. Yeah, probably. I might someday. I have Paramount Plus now. They got all the Big Brother seasons. I might just do it. So I could see why she was an iconic player, but unfortunately, that kind of did make it make sense to me why everyone tried to go for her so fast and successfully went for her fast. But, I just. Fact of the matter is, she was 40 years old. She didn't win any competitions. She was not much of a physical threat. I don't think that she needed to be taken out that fast. Like, it just seemed. She got done very dirty. And don't even get me started about how she almost won the HOH competition for the week that she was ultimately evicted on. That was not good. And also, Nicole almost won the HOH competition the week she was evicted. Yeah. Yep, it's impossible to put Janelle in a season these days without putting a massive target on her. I guess so. But you know what? I'd still watch her play again. I'd love to see her win some stuff and actually make some moves. Because she said on finale night that if she had won HOH, her targets were going to be Cody and Enzo. And guess who the final two were? So, the woman is a great Big Brother player. Problem is, everybody knows it. So, that's her curse, I guess. And next up is Janelle's BFF, Kaser. Once again, almost won the HOH competition on the week that he was evicted. But no, Enzo just had to come along and ruin everything. And just everyone looked at him like he was a big threat. He has never made it to jury. Like, Janelle made it to third place twice. Kaser has never made it to jury. Like, with him, it was like beating a dead horse. They're just kicking a man when he's down. And it's like, come on. Give this man a chance. Let him make it to jury. Let him be the first juror out. But let him be a juror. Because that guy was smart. He also has good Big Brother instincts, but he also gets ganged up on early every time. And I have my suspicions as to why. But that's another topic we'll get into later. The thing with Kaser is that he is very smart and very socially aware, which is why he's dangerous and needs to go fast. Yeah, seems that way. Next up is Bailey. Now, honestly, I did watch BB20. I was not the biggest fan of her in her first season. I did think she was a little hot-headed at times, and especially that one time. But I didn't believe that was who she was. I did feel like she got some harsh treatment from others, and I feel like the weight of it all just kind of came down on her, and she snapped. Could she have handled it better? Maybe, but I don't blame her too much for it. She had a rough experience on BB20. Yeah, I've heard of other things that the live episodes didn't tell you, or the aired episodes didn't tell you. Like, yeah. But I also know that she blew up on Casey, the winner of her first season, on one of the MTV shows, like The Challenge or something. And I feel like Bailey came on Big Brother All Stars not even so much to win, but to try and get rid of that image of herself. And I feel like she did that because she was definitely one of the more level-headed people of her season. Like when Christmas nominated her and Davon together. Excuse me. That was just such a bad week. Like, Davon was going off on Christmas, and Christmas was going off back on Davon, but Bailey was the one who was trying to stop the fighting. And, I don't believe that Bailey was the same person on All Stars that she was on her first season. I do feel that she had grown more and, I don't want to. That sounds like I'm kind of demeaning her, like she was immature on BB20. No, I wouldn't say that. I actually did watch that week too. I hate Christmas so much. Yeah, that is still the week a lot of people talk about. That's still the most talked about week. And Davon almost won that HOH also. She was not evicted, but her best friend in the house was. But yeah, I don't mean to speak ill of Bailey. I think she is a good person. I think Swaggy's a good person. Like they were both imperfect on BB20, but like everyone is, and I came to realize that sometimes on Big Brother you need to weigh a person entirely as to what makes them good versus not so good. And I believe that Bailey and Swaggy are good people. And I especially think that after BB22, where I thought Bailey was a lot better than 20. Next up is Ian. Now, he was probably my favorite of the season because I related to him the most. I'm on the spectrum just like him. And he's 2 months older than I am. And just in general, Ian reminds me of he's like a more successful version of me. He's like what I could have done with my life if I was less lazy. But yeah, Ian was my guy. I just related to him so much. I enjoyed him, and uh, the way that everyone ganged up on him, it it hurt me a lot because they were bullying him for things he couldn't control, like his spectrum mannerisms. And I was just like, this is not okay. And that was probably the moment when they were ganging up on him that I lost all hope in the season. I kept being like, oh, it'll get better. Something good will happen. But nothing good had been happening, and then that happened. And it's like, nothing good has happened, and we have sunk to a new low. And I'm like, this season is not going to be saved. These bullies are going to control the rest of the season. Yeah, part of the reason I stopped watching was because all they do is just gang up on people. Yeah. And look, take it from someone who was ganged up on when he was a kid all the time. It's not fun. So, seeing it happen to Ian, because he was a winner, but none of this happened to Nicole, who was also a winner, Nicole F. Like, it'd be one thing if they ganged up on him for being a winner. Like, that's strategy. But they would also have to gang up on Nicole F for being a winner. And she was close with the big alliance. Ian was not. And that's why Dani took him out. And, that... Yeah. Just... Again, I have to stop myself from going on a Dani tangent. But, yeah, that was not a good week for me either. And now that I think about it, the week he was ganged up on and the week he were evicted were 2 separate weeks. He was ganged up on under Christmas's HOH. Yeah. All right. So, up next, we got Davon. And I did not watch her first season, but like I said, BB18 was my first, which was first time I watched her. And I wasn't too sure about her when I was watching the season, but like in hindsight, I was like, she was actually a really good player. And then I found out how she was on her first season. I'm like, she's a really good player. And like, of all the people that got ganged up on unnecessarily, I do kind of feel like it's a close race between Janelle and Davon as to who would actually be the bigger threat because they're both very smart. But personally, I've never been a fan of Davon, but I can see why people are. I think this season was the first time I ever was a fan of her. All right, that's fair, I guess. I think that Davon was the realest person on this season. She was authentically herself at every turn, but authentically a good person. Like, she spoke up for what she believed in. She spoke on the real life issues in the world. She didn't really mistreat anybody too much in the house. At least there have been, again, that's another issue I have written down. But I do kind of feel like she was like they kind of forced her to be with the people that she was ultimately aligned with because no one else would align with her because I feel like I'm just going to say it outright, okay? I think that they were just not interested in working with any of the minorities in the house. There, it's out there, and you can look at BB Twitter. Everyone says that, and like every week, there was at least one minority on the block at first, and like the only time before they were all gone that it wasn't was the week Ian was evicted, and that's only because David used the power on himself. Kevin got nominated. Davon won the veto and saved Kevin. So that was the only reason that Dani's HOH week didn't end with, like, why it ended with two white guys on the block. That's what it looks like to me, and the way that some of those people have acted in the game and in real life, like, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, BB21 and BB22 are just subtle stories about how racism is still prevalent in our culture. Yeah. And it's not fair that it goes that way every season. Yeah. All right. So, up next, we have Kevin. And I wanted to like him. I really did. The first week I did, I guess. I didn't watch his season. But I didn't even know about him now that I think about it. And, like, I feel like he was a main reason why Nicole A had such a rough go. He pretended to be her friend, and he screwed up her game. And then on the week Ian was evicted, him, Davon, and David were working together to try to flip the vote, and they thought they could have done it with getting Nicole F on their side because Ian was her friend and she didn't want to be the only winner in the house. And then Kevin blew it by telling Dani, who then told Nicole, and then they just like, okay, well, we have to get rid of Ian now. Like, no, you don't. You can do what you want. You don't have to do what the HOH wants. I watched his season, didn't have many thoughts about him coming in, but once he turned against Kaser and Janelle, I just knew he was going to be horrid to watch. Horrid. Dang. Yeah. I kind of get that he was an outsider. He was making the moves he could to keep himself alive, but he just dropped the ball so many times, and it's like I couldn't root for him after a while because he just, like, I wouldn't have minded seeing him win an HOH just because he might have actually taken a shot at some people in control, but that was purely a marriage of convenience situation. Yeah. So yeah, Kevin, I wanted to like him, did not. Next up, we have David. Now, in some ways, I consider him the winner of BB All-Stars because he lasted the longest outside of the big alliance. So, yeah. I try not to think about the big alliance. So I consider David the winner because why not? It's what that season deserved. I felt bad for David in BB21. Like, this guy got such a bum deal. And then he comes in here and, like, he gets a chance to prove himself. And no one respects him. And to be fair, He wasn't a good player, but I liked him. Like, Kevin was not a good player, but I couldn't like him. David was not a good player, but I did like him. I liked him as a person. And I was rooting for him. And I was happy when he won his power. Like, he won something. Something. And it was a decent power, too. And he kept it a secret until the episode aired on TV. Like, going into it, we knew that Christmas and Dani had won powers. We didn't know who the third one was. It was good getting to see him play. I wish it wasn't on All-Stars, though. Yeah. But it just goes to show that like the way he played in All-Stars, Mickey did not need to nominate him as a threat that first day in BB21. He's like, oh, well, I'm putting up the people who offered to run the house and the one who didn't really talk to me. And it never occurred to him that those people were the two black people, the one Hispanic person, and the old guy. Okay, I guess Jessica was not the only Hispanic person, but she was the older Hispanic person. So, yeah. Just right off the bat, Mickey did not set good optics for himself when he did that, and David just got so screwed in that challenge. Like, it was all luck. That could have happened to any one of those four. And I feel bad for him. And I feel bad that he had to put up with this season. That was his shot at redemption. But you know what? He still deserved his shot on All-Stars more than anyone in BB21's Big Alliance. If anyone else won that camp counselor thing, it could have been literally anyone. Yeah, possibly. But they gave Mickey too much power too early, and that was just the end of that season. Okay. But enough about BB21. Let's get back to All-Stars. Next up, we have Dani. Now, I did not see her season, but I knew of her. And I'm like, oh, she's a Big Brother legend. This is going to be exciting to actually get to see her play. And on day 2, I was like, I hate her. I hate her. I'm like, oh yeah, she's Evil Dick's daughter. Of course she's a terrible person. And, like, she just said the snootiest, most condescending crap. Like, when Kaser was eliminated after everyone ganged up on him, yet again, she's like, disrespectful and tasteless, because he dared to call them out for being jerks. Like, the way you treated Ian was disrespectful and tasteless. I've seen her season and actually liked her. She blocked me a few years ago, and I got upset, but now I want to be blocked by her. Dang. I know that her husband was on a blocking spree during All-Stars. Anyone who dared speak ill of her. I kept checking to see if I got blocked, but no, I haven't yet. I guess I'm not prominent enough in the Big Brother Twitter community. But she's just like, I came here to become the new queen of Big Brother. Sorry, Janelle. Okay, Dani. Let me ask you something. Would the queen of Big Brother take a shot at somebody, Tyler, chicken out of taking that shot, and then ultimately get evicted by the person that they chickened out of taking the shot on? Does that sound like the queen of Big Brother to you? Janelle will always be the queen of Big Brother. Yeah. Works for me. So, I don't think Dani was a good player at all. I don't respect her as a player. I don't respect her as a person. And yet, it just gets worse from here, because we are now past triple eviction night, the point when I stopped watching the season. 1 second. Next up, we have Tyler. I liked him on BB20. I thought he was an interesting dude. Like, he surprised me with how he played. I thought he was just going to be some stoner surfer idiot. But he turned out to be a really good player, and I respected it. And then after the season, I saw him turn into the most insufferable jerk. He got the biggest ego, the biggest attitude. He's just talking down to so many people, and I'm like, dude, I hate you now. I I did follow him right after BB20 ended, and not long into BB21, I'm just like, okay, I'm done with him. I can't listen to him anymore. He's a jerk. And when he came back, I'm just like, I don't care. I'm not interested in seeing you here. I'm not surprised I'm seeing you here because you're Groner's golden boy. I don't know if it's Groner or Grodner. Whatever. I don't care. And yeah, he was the one who took out Janelle. So yeah, like I had been won over by her gameplay, and I'm just like, I don't care about him. Like he's in another super alliance without even trying. Everyone just wants to work with him. Everyone wants to have a final two with him, and it's just like, play your own game. I never really liked Tyler. Him and Caitlyn made me hate BB20. Caitlyn, she was something. I'll probably do one of these about BB20 at some point. Um, Next up, we have Memphis. Now, of all the people I hated this season, I don't think I hated anybody more than him. I never saw his season. I never heard of him. The closest I had come to hearing about him was hearing that Dan Giesling beat someone unanimously. And, like, this guy was cast at the last second because Josh from 19 and Casey from 20 got the Rona and they couldn't go in the house. So he was a last second replacement. And he just barely got in and proceeded to ruin the game. Week 2, he ruined the game. The way he ganged up on Nicole and David like that. And he was just so unlikable. Such a jerk. Like, he bullied Ian. He just barely caught himself before he said the N word. A lot of people say, nah, he didn't really. Yeah, he did. Just look at his. You can tell by his character that he says that word in his life. Okay? He's from Florida, and his name is Memphis. What do you expect? But yeah, I couldn't take him. And he just kept winning so much. And I don't get how he acted like a grumpy old man despite only being 37 years old. Like the guy is 8 years older than me, and he acts like a grandpa. He acts like the oldest person there when he was the youngest by 5 years. I ain't got nothing to say about Memphis. The fact he got beat unanimously says it all. Yeah, well, Dan Giesling kept talking him up so much, acting like he was a good dude, and like, I don't think I really respect him too much anymore. But, I didn't see him play, so I guess I didn't have much to go on other than reputation. But yeah, I wasn't even happy when I heard Memphis got evicted because it's just like the damage has been done. You've ruined this season. He got out. He got out Nicole A. He got out Davon, and he got out David. Dan is not an active watcher of Big Brother, so he can say whatever he wants now. Well, I don't know. I don't really care what he says. I'm not an active follower of him. I just know he kept talking up Memphis quite a bit. I'm like, you're clearly not watching him play. Next up is Christmas, and Christmas is like the prime example of what's wrong with Big Brother now. Like, she wins competitions without trying. She gets in super alliances without asking. She volunteers to go on the block and is super confident that nothing will happen to her. And she's like, just vote the HOH way. And it's just like, you are why people are turning on this show. And I actually did not hate her at BB19, but that was because I wasn't really paying attention to the feeds back then. I didn't know all the things she was saying that wasn't on TV. And my God, once I actually got the truth, I'm like, she is horrible. I don't know why they brought her back. I had actually almost forgotten about her by the time All Stars came along. And yeah, I touched on it before. The week she won HOH by accident, she nominated Davon and Bailey because they were like, yeah, we're close with each other, but we want to work with you. And she's like, oh, you're working together? Okay, I have to put you up now. Like, there are no other people in this house that are clearly working together? Ridiculous. I can't say anything about Christmas without sending paragraphs, LMAO. I don't blame you. Ugh. Just Christmas is. There can never be someone like her on Big Brother again. The show can't survive. If there is. Ugh. As I get further and further into this thing, I'm getting angrier and more depressed. But we got 3 left. But first, I do want to say Christmas and Memphis are a couple now. I think they're still together. They completely deserve each other. The problem is, the world does not deserve them. Yeah. I said what I said. But let's move on to the final 3. Up next, Nicole F. I gotta say, the way she was playing this game, I thought she was gonna win again. No one wanted to target her. Everyone was just like, you're a winner, but who cares? You're cute. And she had this cutesy persona that she put on. She'd always just like talk about how cutesy and klutzy and ditzy she is. And like, you can see through it a mile away if you're not an idiot. Like the challenge they had the first 3 weeks, like the VIP room or something, when I can't tell you how shocked I was that Cody evicted her, to be honest. We'll get to that. But like the way she was playing in her VIP pass room game thing, she's just like, oh, I'm so clumsy. I'm so weak. I can't carry this. I'm like, shut up. Just stop. You're not fooling me. Problem is, you're probably fooling a lot of really stupid people out there. But like, I could see through her a mile away. Like, she's trying to be the cute, dorky girls that she picked on in high school. Like, once she saw that people like them more, that they started getting the sympathy, she's like, okay, I'm going to try to emulate them, even though I tortured them. Did you like her in BB18? Not really. Honestly, I think Paul should have won. I thought he played better. And I know Paul is not the most beloved Big Brother alum, but I'm trying to remember if I said him or not in regards to Paul, because if I did, I apologize, because Paul's pronouns are they, them now. And I thought they played the better game in BB18. And Mickey proved that you can play a game that hurts a lot of people, but they still vote for you because you're just the best player there. And, you know, I don't feel that she won. I feel that Paul lost BB18. Yeah, that's how I feel. And just her obsession with Janelle, it was ridiculous. Like, it was embarrassing. Like, how are you so... Oh my God, my hair's sticking up in a way I don't like. There we go. What was I saying? Oh yeah, her obsession with Janelle was ridiculous. Like, weeks after she left, she was still talking about her. Like, the obsession was ridiculous. Like, this makes you look like such a small, weak, childish person. And yet everyone is going to continue to carry you through this game. I disliked her so much, I didn't even enjoy that she was the one who took out Memphis. I actually can't watch BB16 because Nicole F was essentially one of the only likable players. Well, that's a terrifying statement. Yeah, but I have no respect for Nicole F. I just was like, I'm not a fan about her during BB18. I saw her on The Amazing Race. I'm like, I really don't like her at all now. And then BB All Stars, I'm like, you need to stop being on TV. So that brings us to the final two. We'll start with Enzo. Now, this is someone I wanted to like. I'd heard good things about him. I heard he was one of the more popular contestants. People were excited to see him. And I believe Michigan should be on a blacklist for TV. Perhaps. But yeah, Enzo, I thought he'd be an interesting player. Everyone liked him. Everyone in the house wanted to work with him. No one really targeted him. No one wanted to. Like, he wasn't even technically part of the big alliance, but everyone was so close with him that it's like, I know he's going to be there at the end with them. In fact, he's probably going to go further than most of them, which he did. But the thing is, like, he kept talking about how he was going to make all these big moves. He was going to take shots at people. He was like, why do we have winners in this house? We should be going for the winners. And yet, every chance he got, he took the easy way out. He punched down in the house. He didn't take any real shots. He ruined triple eviction night. If he had flipped and he had voted for Nicole, she would have gone out instead of David. But no, he chickened out. Despite all his big talk. That's all he was. He was talk. And he wouldn't shut up. Enzo's game was always to use other people to make his moves for him. Well, he certainly didn't make any of his own. And after a while, I started calling him Bozo. Like, we all call Christmas by other holidays. But yeah, I was trying to make it a thing that everyone called Enzo Bozo. And also, I call Nicole F. Fran. Like Franzel. I called her Fran because I felt like if she knew about it, she would hate it. And that made me happy. But yeah, Enzo wanted to like him, but he didn't impress me at all. He consistently ruined things. Like, things could have gone just a little bit different if he had played just a little bit different. But things could have gone a lot different if he had played just a little different. Yeah. One of my favorite parts of Big Brother is always calling them things other than their names. Like calling Holly Beth. That was funny. Or Holly Allen, 24, Wyoming. And only one left. The winner of the season, Cody. Now, this is someone who had the season handed to him. There was pre-gaming. There clearly was. There's no doubt in anyone's mind. And everyone was just like, okay, we're going to go really far with him. And then they're all like, oh, he went really far. We should let him win. But it's like, he only goes as far as you let him. And you all let him. The only time that anything could have even remotely affected his chances was if Christmas won the veto on her final week, and she would have taken him out. That was the only thing resembling danger that he was in the whole time. But I mean, he's just... I resent guys like him because guys like him, they just coast through life. They're muscular and good-looking. They don't have to worry. They come from what seems to be a decent background. And, like... Cody will never know struggle in his life. And it's like, why should I root for you then? Like, why do you need me to root for you? Everything's going your way. And it always will. What's me talking about me not liking you gonna do to you? I hate that they let him win unanimously. Yeah, well, I I will say, fact of the matter is, there was one game move made in the entirety of Big Brother All Stars. And that one game move, that one real game move, was Cody evicting Nicole F, Fran, on finale night. Taking her out before she got to the final. Because I think she would have won again. When he did that, I was like, finally, I have a reason as to why someone should win this wretched season. Enzo worked harder than him to get to the finals, and Enzo didn't even work that hard. Yeah, I guess, but, you know. I hate that no one listened to the wall yeller. Nicole and Cody are playing everyone. Like, they all clearly heard it and did nothing about it. Cody had to do it. Cody had to break them up. Cody broke up Cody and Nicole. And it was the only actual game move of the season. It took, what was it, 85 days, I think the season lasted? Yeah. There were a couple other things I want to talk about. I thought analyzing each player would be faster than it was, but here we are 48 minutes into the stream. But I did kind of cover the things that I have written in my phone, at least most of them. Whenever I talk about Big Brother to people who haven't watched the show, they always say it's staged, even though there are live feeds. And I would say this season would be the closest to being scripted. I don't know if it's staged per se, but I definitely feel as though it's manipulated behind the scenes. And that actually takes me to one thing I wrote down that I wanted to talk about independently. And that was on the week Bailey was evicted. Tyler came to Bailey and Davon and said, I don't think I should be here. You two are here for more of a reason than me. Like, he basically invoked the racial justice movement in the country and Black Lives Matter and all that. And I was thinking, my God, is he actually going to do this? Like, that would be something. But I gotta say, even though I was not a fan of Tyler by that point, long before that point, even, I was like, this is noble. Saying, like, Bailey and Davon represent something bigger. Like, why was Tyler there? To promote Angela's cookbook. That was about it. And I'm like, my God, is this really going to happen? And then it didn't. Feeds went down for a long time. I think that was the one where the feeds were down for like a day. And the whispers that got out were that production got to Tyler and got him to change his mind on doing it. They probably were saying, like, well, you're not going to get... Like, they get paid for being there, but obviously they win more if they win. And people were like, they told Tyler that if he walks out, he doesn't get paid. And I think that's why he stayed. So basically, it's either a case of Tyler went back on his word, which would not be cool, or production manipulated him into staying and threatened him into staying, which is also not cool. And which is another reason why Christmas's HOH was the worst week of the season. In a season of bad weeks. I touched on the pre-gaming a little bit. Oh, sorry. I'm of the opinion that he wasn't going to do it in the first place. Maybe, but fact is, we'll never truly know. All we'll know is that it's a terrible situation either way. But yeah, pre-gaming, I touched on it a little. Um, Derek from BB16, like there were whispers that he got this big alliance together. Like, how much more fun would it have been if all these Big Brother legends went after each other right away? That would have been so fun. You know, it would have been crazy. It would have been chaos. It would have been what a Big Brother All Star season should be. But Derek's like, no, we should work together. I'm like, dude, you ruined any possible entertainment in this season. And he's denied that he did any pre gaming, but he clearly did. And Dan Giesling, I think, was involved too. He's also denied it, but there's a lot of evidence that he did. There's not as concrete evidence that Dan Giesling did as there is with Derek, but yeah, it ruined the season. Pre-gaming was inevitable, but letting Derek set Cody up to the extent that he did ruined the one thing fans have been looking forward to. Dan definitely did as well, but probably only for Ian and Memphis. Memphis, yes. I don't know about Ian. Because I feel like if Ian was part of it, then he wouldn't have been treated the way he did. At least that's what I think. And, okay, yeah, there is one thing I want to talk about last. It goes back to Tyler. And actually, Big Brother's Wikipedia page. It does not talk about that incident with Tyler, how he, basically invoked Black Lives Matter as part of his reason why he wasn't sure he should stay and why Bailey and Davon should in his place. Big Brother 22's Wikipedia page didn't mention that at all. But even though there are tons of articles about it and the whole fandom was talking about it, but there are articles about when Davon called David uncle. I don't want to say the whole thing because it's a bit of a slur and I don't think I should be saying it. But I know what it means. I know what the implications are with it. And should Davon have said it? Maybe not. Because honestly, I don't think it was fully accurate in regards to him. Like, I think she was saying it because, like, he got kind of friendly with the Jacks from his season. But I feel like I also heard him say that he started keeping his distance from them because, like, they were just basically using him to make themselves look good, to make themselves look less racist than they clearly are. At least I feel like I heard David say something that, like, touched on that. Or maybe I'm making it up. I don't know. I didn't. I probably should have perused Big Brother Twitter a little more before this, but I don't know. Maybe Davon shouldn't have said that, but I definitely don't feel as though. Like, okay, I feel like Big Brother's Wikipedia page, like, if it mentions that, it should also mention the Tyler thing, but it doesn't mention the Tyler incident. And it feels like someone involved with the show, because Tyler's their golden boy. Like, Big Brother was so happy to have someone like him. They don't want him looking bad. So, someone got on that Wikipedia page and buried it. And there's nothing anyone can do to fix it. Like, I've tried to edit it, but, like, you have to sign up for it, for an account and everything. And I guess people have tried to put it there, but they're like, no. And also, like, it talks about the Ian incident, and it just kind of minimizes Nicole's role in laughing at him. Like, she was laughing hysterically at Memphis mocking him for his mannerisms, his spectrum mannerisms. And it's like, this is clearly done by someone who is obsessed with Nicole F and is trying to not make her look so bad. But, like, it's just... I'll be honest. I don't use Wikipedia anymore because of Big Brother 22. That is how bad Big Brother 22 was. That it ruined, like, one of the most popular websites in the world for me. I can't use it anymore because, like, people can get away with not talking about the full extent of why people disliked Big Brother All Stars. And that's why I'm done with it. So, yeah, I've been talking almost an hour now. I'm going to start wrapping this up. Big Brother All Stars. It was terrible. It should have been great, but it was the furthest thing from what it could have possibly been. And it is the worst season I have seen. And I have seen BB19 and BB21. Like, yeah, there. It's worse than both of those seasons combined. At least those seasons had good moments. It was the worst thing about the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, maybe that's a little far. Maybe just a little. But yeah, in hindsight, Big Brother probably should have just taken the year off. And it was worse than BB19. I know that's the season everyone despises the most. But, I mean, BB22 is what BB19 would have been if BB19's Cody had actually been able to run the season. That's what he would have turned it into. I know everyone hates BB19, but it had some semblance of entertainment to it. Yeah. And my thoughts on BB19 Cody, that's for another day. But BB22 is what BB19 would have been if Cody had run BB19. I stand by that. Like, you all voted him America's favorite that season, and BB22 is what you get for it. You voted Cody America's favorite in BB19, even though he was a miserable transphobic jerk. And you didn't vote for Kevin, who was just an absolute gem of a man. So yeah, those are my thoughts. And yeah, I've been talking for a while. Coming up on an hour now. I think I'm going to end it here. Mutable Mercury, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me someone to talk to. I really appreciate it. I'm going to do more of these. I'm probably going to do a few more before BB23 starts. I'll probably talk about the other seasons that I've seen. Again, going back to BB18. And, yeah, like when the contestants are revealed for BB23, I will do an analysis thing for them. Like, especially after, like, if they do pre-show interviews, I'll definitely watch all of those, take notes, and get my thoughts on them and what I think about them. But, you know, those aren't always the best indicator, so I'll do it and then revisit it and see how wrong I was. That might be kind of funny. But yeah, that'll do it for this video, for this stream. And I had fun. And I don't know how this next season of Big Brother is going to be, but I enjoy my time on Twitch, and I'm gonna talk about it here, and I'm gonna have fun doing this, I think. And who knows, maybe I'll be able to grow from here. God willing. So, yep. Thank you for watching. You can find this on my YouTube channel also. You can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter name is @NickGrimesYT. That has a link to my YouTube channel. You can look for Nick Grimes on YouTube also, but I'm not the only Nick Grimes, so, you know, might take a while to find me. Just go to my Twitter. I have a link to my channel. That'd probably be faster. But yeah. All right. Thank you for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching it here as well. And I will see you next time. Peace out.